Sonam Wangchuk is being arrested is what our sources are telling us, although the details of the arrest are yet to be ascertained and the authorities are yet to release an official statement. But this is a big breaking news that we're getting you at this point in time. Remember, he had made an appeal to the government, urging the government to listen to the voice and the demands of the youth who are taken to streets. He said that this is the frustration of the youth that is palpable on ground, but that peaceful protest had turned violent, which had seen several people being injured and even deaths being reported. Having said that, there was stone pelting that was reported, and Sonam Wangchuk distanced himself from the violent protest. The turn that the protest took, Sonam Wangchuk said that this is not something that he had ever advocated, decides to end his hunger strike on the 15th day of the fast, but it was too late in the day. The government sources also maintain that there are certain issues pertaining to the kind of funding his NGO was getting. And today what we're given to understand is that sources tell News9, Sonam Wangchuk, the activist, stands arrested. The details of the arrest are still emerging and the authorities are yet to release an official statement. My colleague Mehraj is joining me right now to get us more details. Mehraj, take us through what exactly do we know about Sonam Wangchuk's arrest? What are the areas of concern flagged by the authorities and on what charges has he been arrested?
Well, Sania, it is emerging right now that sources say that Sonam Wangchuk have been arrested, but it is not confirmed by officials yet. But so far, they pointed out his name after whole violence of Ladakh. So it was obvious that he might maybe get arrested, and that is what we are learning from our sources, that he have been arrested. But so far, there is no official confirmation on this. He was supposed to brief.
Well, we'll try and reconnect that line with my colleague Mehraj, who was keeping us ahead on the details surrounding Sonam Wangchuk's arrest. But what my colleague was telling us, that there are certain details that are yet to emerge about his arrest. But what we can tell you right now as per sources is that although we do not have an official statement from the authorities yet, what we can tell you at this juncture is that activist Sonam Wangchuk has been arrested. Well, that is the big breaking news that we're getting you at this point in time. Remember, a few days ago, he did end his fast on the 15th day of his hunger strike, where he has been demanding more autonomy and statehood for Ladakh area. But having said that, once the peaceful protest took a violent turn, where there were several people reportedly injured in the stone pelting that was reported, that exactly became the crux and the turning point for Sonam Wangchuk, where he decided to distance himself away from these protests, saying that this is not something he advocates. But at the same time, he did urge the government of the day to listen to the voice of the Gen Z, to listen to the voice of the youth who are taken to the streets. He said the frustration of the youth is palpable. They are without jobs, and that is the reason why they are expressing their frustration in these violent ways, not justifying them. But what we can tell you at this juncture is that he stands arrested, as per sources telling News9, although the details of his arrest is yet to be released. As more information emerges, we will keep you ahead on that front, but we're getting you the big breaking news that was broken at News9 first. It's an exclusive piece of information that my colleague Mehraj has gotten us right now, is that activist Sonam Wangchuk stands arrested. He has been arrested after the FCRA discrepancies and irregularities were flagged by the government of the day for his NGO, and my colleague Mehraj is back with us. Well, Mehraj, take us through on what charges specifically has Sonam Wangchuk being arrested. What we're given to understand is that there are discrepancies and irregularities pertaining to the FCRA license for his NGO. Please go ahead.
Well, Samia, so far as they have cleared that his name is behind the whole investigation of what happened and clash behind what happened in Ladakh. So it was obvious that he might have been arrested under that. But so far, officials don't say anything as things are premature right now on what basis he have been arrested. But sources say that he have been arrested as he was supposed to brief press, but he was not able to do so, and he had been arrested. But we can say that there will be some time, after some time, Ladakh police may release a statement in this But so far, we can say that sources, according to sources, Sonam Wangchuk have been arrested, and that is what we are getting from our sources. It is premature to say on what basis, but there are many things we can say, which we are, according to we can say that there are discrepancies in the funds of his NGOs. We can say that.
I'm also joined by Mr. Nirmal Singh right now to get us more details. Dr. Nirmal Singh is the former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Singh, thank you for taking our time and joining me here at News9. We are breaking right now at News9 is that the activist Sonam Wangchuk has been arrested a few days ago. We did see how his NGO's license under FCRA was revoked over irregularities and discrepancies. What do you have to say about this? Because it was the protest that turned violent which brought him back into the headlines.
Actually, as you have said, that it's not this news is yet to be confirmed. But I think the law will take its own course. The person who claims to be a social activist and he is running an NGO, we know that this fellow was getting funds from the foreign countries. What was the source of the fund? And who was funding it, and a person who was active on the LAC and LOC both, and he was doing claiming to be doing some you can say social work, but and involving himself in a political agitation and inciting people. He has created a situation where people went for rioting in Leh, and that is so sensitive area. So definitely the agencies, the government will not going to spare anybody who is creating trouble in these such areas and giving you can say chance to China and Pakistan to play their game in this most peaceful area, that is Ladakh.
Absolutely. But as far as the protest is concerned, Dr. Singh, what do you have to say about that? What Sonam Wangchuk maintained was that this was only an organic outpouring of frustrated youth taking to streets. He also urged the government to pay heed to what the youth want for Leh Ladakh.
Actually, Sonam Wangchuk, when UT was given to Ladakh, he was most happy person. It's on record that he was thanking our Honorable Prime Minister, our Home Minister, and that was the demand for Ladakh right from 1947 when Kushik Bakula was the leader here, and ultimately they started agitating for the statehood and the 6th schedule. They can demand, because it's a democratic right, they can demand it. And the Modi government has done a lot for the Ladakh, including this foundation of this UT, and as well as this giving funds for the development of Ladakh. But they have every right to do it. But this is not the way, because you have the right to agitate. You definitely have that. You can't resort to violence.
Dr. Singh, Sonam Wangchuk had almost preempted his arrest. He said that the way the government is on a war path against him, he is prepared, he is mentally prepared that he is going to be arrested in the near future, and that is only going to escalate the tension in Ladakh. It won't resolve the matter of Ladakh. What do you have to say about that? Can this fuel further tension in Ladakh?
Actually, if he was preempting it, definitely he was guilty. He was knowing his source of income. And definitely he was, you can say, scared of law. That's there. But the way Congress has done it, and this Rahul Gandhi has instigated the youth in the name of Gen Z and all that, it shows that there is a larger conspiracy. And as we are listening to the media and understanding that some people, some youth from the Nepal and other people, foreigners, they have also been arrested. So it's a larger conspiracy.
Trying to say that there are vested interest group who are trying to intersperse in these protests to try and create further trouble in Ladakh, and that this is not an organic uprising.
Oh, no, that's there. That's there. Because it was not the natural. It was not. I know Ladakh. I have traveled in every corner of Ladakh. I know that the people are very peaceful. They are peace loving. But the way they have reacted, some youth, not all youth. I am getting information from the other people there, the BJP people and all that. What was the fun of burning BJP office there? What was the reason? Because BJP was not, neither we have our MP there, and but we were burning the office of a political party. So this was all conspiracy, and ultimately, I think the investigating agencies, they may have all these, you can say, information, inputs, and ultimately, I'm sure that the law will take its own course, and those people who are responsible for this instigation and which ultimately led to the deaths of 4 people and burning of CRPF vehicles, government property, they have to pay the, you can say, price for that.
Absolutely, Dr. Singh. Thank you for joining us here at News9. I request you to kindly stay with us. I'm also joined by Savio Rodrigues, who's the founder and editor-in-chief of Goa Chronicle. Mr. Rodrigues, good afternoon. Thank you for taking your time and joining me here at News9. I was in conversation with Dr. Singh, who has been the former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. He is well-versed with the lay of the land and the people in Ladakh, and he feels that there seems to be certain Western interest group who are taking advantage of what is happening in Ladakh and what was witnessed a few days ago, 2 days ago, as far as the violence is concerned, where the protest turned violent and several people were left injured, is not something that Ladakhis are known for. What do you make of Sonam Wangchuk's arrest at this juncture? Will it fuel further tension?
So let's look at the conflict that has happened in Ladakh in 2 parts. The first part is the genuine concerns that the people of Ladakh have. These protests have been going on for the last 6 years. Somewhere in their understanding, they've been believed that they should get statehood. They've been talking about the 6th schedule, and the dialogues have been ongoing. What happened on that day of the protest and suddenly turned violent? If you were to ask people on the ground, they will tell you, the people are part of that protest, will tell you that 2 senior citizens fell ill because of the protest, and they had to be taken to healthcare services. This led to a frustration among the youth, and then the youth went completely berserk. Now, let's come to the most important part of that. The protest was organized by Sonam Wangchuk and his people, and people who were fighting for what they believe were rights that the people of Ladakh had to get. However, as soon as the protest started to take a devious turn, Sonam Wangchuk decided to run away from there and then get onto social media and put out a tweet talking about that the protest was not supposed to be violent, it was supposed to be a peaceful protest. The people who had come to that protest were people that were supporting the idea of what the people of Ladakh wanted. Now, we do know from the governmental sources that there were about 60 to 70 Nepalis that have been spotted in the part of that conflict and that violent protest that happened. There were people from Doda in Jammu and Kashmir that were also present over there. So it appears to be that there was a plan. This is not organic. This is planned. Because if you know the people of Ladakh, you will know that most of them are not prone to violent outbursts or violent behavior. This is something that is triggered. They've been using the logic that they've been putting forward is that the youth were frustrated. But if you look at the video that had come out on September 10th, which was put out then by the BJP IT cell head, Amit Malviya, you will realize that the conversation in that Sonam Wangchuk is basically talking about Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and how active the Gen Z were over there to bring about a change in the political administration out there. More importantly, a few months ago, there was a video in which Sonam Wangchuk himself said that there was a time when the people of Ladakh, fought against the Chinese when there was Chinese infiltration happening. And now, if Chinese were to enter and infiltrate into India, we would not stop them, we would allow them to come in. That's another video that Sonam Wangchuk has spoken and is made viral at this point of time. So the question really is, Sonam Wangchuk claiming to be a Deshbhakt, somebody working in the interest of the people of Ladakh, somebody working in the interest of the people of this country, how does he make a statement that talks about allowing Chinese infiltrators to come in and the people of Ladakh doing nothing? That's point number one. Point number two is what the
If I can interject over here and ask you, that Sonam Wangchuk had also made a case saying that he is going to be made a scapegoat in the scheme of things, and that is not going to solve the issues and concerns of the people of Ladakh. This is a message that he was trying to send across to the government. Do you feel that he was well aware that a situation like this can arise and that his FCRA license or his arrest was imminent?
I believe Sonam Wangchuk wants to be arrested. He realizes and he knows that his arrest would bring a larger noise to what he's been trying to stir as far as the concerns of the people of Ladakh are concerned, as well as his own personal agenda. Please understand, and let's be very clear about it, and it doesn't matter to me what Sonam Wangchuk or his team or people think. The issue is not the people of Ladakh. They have a concern, and that concern will be addressed by the center, and meetings were ongoing, and meetings are also continuing, which is on October 6th, there's another meeting that's placed. The real thing is, why did Sonam Wangchuk run away when the violent protest started? He had the ability to stop it because he was the one organizing the protest, but he did not do that. Why did Sonam Wangchuk talk about allowing Chinese infiltrators to come into India and the people of Ladakh doing nothing? Why is Sonam Wangchuk now playing a martyr when the MHA is very clearly stating, without a doubt in their mind, that Sonam Wangchuk is the instigator? So obviously they will have certain amount of evidences based on which they would do it, and certain amount of evidences that are based on which they will arrest him. That is the reality of the situation. But he wants to play a martyr. He wants this to escalate. That's step two. The arrest of Sonam Wangchuk is step two.
Is a pawn at the hands of some larger players, or are you trying to say that Sonam Wangchuk is instigating this entire unrest, this entire uprising, because Ladakh essentially is a border union territory? Our ties, our rapport, our engagements with the Chinese side, and there are disputed spots as well. This entire matter ought to be held with a lot of sensitivity. Where do you think Sonam Wangchuk has left Ladakh wanting?
You see, the concerns of the people of Ladakh are genuine, but I want to ask them one question. They've been talking about statehood. When did the center ever tell them that they were going to get statehood? Yes, there were discussions by the BJP about the 6th schedule. But what is the nature of 6th schedule, and how different is Ladakh from the northeast? And therefore, there is a certain amount of sensibilities that are required, and certain amount of resolutions and amendments that are required, constitutional amendments that are required to bring Ladakh into the 6th schedule. Wouldn't that take a certain framework, certain guidelines, and certain time? Why are the people of Ladakh allowing themselves to be fooled when the government at the center, firstly, through the abrogation of Article 370, ensured that Ladakh became a union territory in order to ensure that the rights of the people of Ladakh were upheld, and
Sonam Wangchuk did endorse. The Sonam Wangchuk stood solidly with the government and endorsed the abrogation of Article 370. I'll come back to you, Mr. Roderick. I'm also joined by my colleague Brijesh Pandey from the newsroom. Well, Brijesh, we've heard what Mr. Roderick was trying to say. He says that it appears that it's his own vested interest, or for that matter, there seems to be a case where he is a pawn at the hands of larger players that is leaving Ladakh in a state of absolute anarchy as we're looking at right now. We at News9 are the first news channel to break the news about Sonam Wangchuk's arrest. What I have to ask you is that if there are irregularities pertaining to FCRA, why should Sonam Wangchuk not be arrested?
Well, there are two things, there are two answers to your question. You know, the first answer is, A, if Sonam Wangchuk is a pawn, if Sonam Wangchuk was, kind of fomenting trouble in lieu of getting all the people sitting there, and when the violent protest broke out, he ran away. You know, what was the intelligence agencies doing? The government of the day should have picked him up much before. Did the government came to know about him, cozying up to the vested interest or making these kind of statements only after the violent incident took place? I don't think so that the answer to this question is this easy. The fact of the matter is that there could be 100 reasons to pick Sonam Wangchuk. Sonam Wangchuk could have committed 100 financial bunglings, misused FCRA funds. But was the government in absolute, had absolutely no idea of what was happening with the finances of Sonam Wangchuk? Honestly speaking, I find that hard to believe. The fact of the matter is that yes, Sonam Wangchuk was becoming a thorn as far as the government narrative is concerned, and also that that this particular violent incident which took place, Sonam Wangchuk, instead of abdicating his responsibility, should have come out at the forefront and said that should have denounced all kind of violence that was taking place. He did that, but he should have done more. He should have ensured that there should have been no violent incidents. Something the likes of that. Vehicles were being vandalized, BJP office was burned, and several acts of vandalism took place, which saw 4 Ladakhis being shot dead. Now, when you come to the crux of the matter, the fact is that in 2020, when the Hill Council election took place, BJP promised them that yes, the 6th schedule there, the Ladakh will be put under 6th schedule of the constitution. This is what is being claimed by people who are protesting there, and they are saying that now 5 years has gone by, not much movement has taken place. If you remember last year when he came to Delhi, he claimed that he was barricaded within the Ladakh Bhavan where he was staying and not allowed to go outside. So there are several layers to the story, and be extremely interesting. What we are gathering from our sources is that the arrest of Sonam Wangchuk is related to the violent protest which happened after 2 protesters were taken to hospital in a serious condition. I honestly, right now we don't have that information. Whenever we get the information, we will update our viewers. We don't want to speculate on that, whether FCRA had any role to play in his arrest or not. Samya?
Okay, whether he is arrested under Public Safety Act or because of violations as far as FCRA is concerned, we are going to wait until more information emerges on that front. But yes, what we can confirm right now is that activist Sonam Wangchuk has been arrested, and it comes 2 days after he ended his 15-day hunger strike. The protest turned violent. Several people left injured, while many others also died. But there was also discrepancies pertaining to the FCRA, and like my colleague Rajesh was maintaining, Mr. Rodrigues, it's hard to believe that the government was absolutely unaware where the fundings were coming in from at this juncture, where you want to try and look at Sonam Wangchuk from a different perspective is when you're looking into the integrity as far as his organization is concerned. But when you wanted him to be your ambassador, the flag bearer, when it comes to the abrogation of Article 370, the government was absolutely backing him.
So if the government at one point of time and the alignment with Sonam Wangchuk was one and the same, and they were working on the same agenda. So tomorrow, if his agenda turns, when he wants infiltrators to walk into India, Chinese infiltrators to walk into India, we're supposed to accept what we have done with him 3-4 years ago. Is that what you're telling me?
My question to you is, the government cannot be saying that they are oblivious of their funding.
You tell me why he made that statement. A video statement of his is viral where he said before the Ladakhis were working with the Indian government to keep the infiltrators out. Now the Ladakhis will not work with the Indian government and allow the Chinese infiltrators in. Is that the person who supported the abrogation of Article 370? What happened to him in 4 years? Why are you not asking that question?
Okay.
What happened
Point
to Sonam
taken.
Wangchuk?
Point
Yes,
taken, Mr. Roderick.
there would have been an intelligence
I'd like my
failure.
colleague Brajesh to respond to that. Brajesh.
Well, I think, Savio, the thing is also that, I mean, you have been covering the government also, you know them pretty well. But the fact of the matter is that when this statement was made, this particular statement was made, what did the government approach him? Was there any action by the government? Was the government waiting for this violence to take place so that they can act on that particular video which has made? If the video is viral, I think, I mean, if you and I can access, so can the intelligence agencies.
Absolutely.
Was the action based on this or the action? Because I just want to understand that. Yeah.
Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
And let me educate you, and I'm sure you know it as well, right? As far as intelligence is concerned, the intelligence job is to gather information, collate information,
Okay.
analyze information.
Okay.
Right? It is the government's job to take decision when and how to use that information. Now, in any particular violence that has happened in any part of the world in recent times, including Nepal, while intelligence or Bangladesh, when intelligence would have been available, maybe the timing of utilizing that intelligence by the government would have failed, and I agree with you. I'm not saying no. I'm only saying at this point of time very clearly, you have Sonam Wangchuk, who undoubtedly is an academician, an innovator, and he's run all that. He's now taking a political turn, and that political turn will see a little bit of movement as soon as he was arrested. Because nobody in his team or nobody that have been coming out and talking about what the government has failed to do via intelligence is answering the question as to why he left the venue when the protest was organized by him. One. Number two is, why did he, a man who stood up for India, a man who stood up fighting against Chinese products, and he had been face of what the nationalistic efforts were, why has he suddenly turned and gone about talking about allowing Chinese infiltrators to come in? So something has happened. Our job is to figure out what has happened to him and why a person who was working to see India the way it is moving forward change his position. That is important. So what has influenced him? Is it the foreign funding that has come his way? Is it the fact that maybe something in the relationship with the government has gone wrong? Why did he leave that venue? Why were there people there willing to burn? That is not the trait of the Ladakhis. They are not going to spill their own blood. But the violent protest led to the death of 4 people and 80 people are injured. So something has gone wrong with this man. Somebody has influenced him. Either it is somebody from a foreign source or somebody within India that has now turning this situation. We had a similar situation many years ago when the country gave Arvind Kejriwal out to Delhi, and we know what he stood for and how he changed. It's the same thing you're going to see with Sonam Wangchuk. It's the same model, the same playbook, same Maxey Award winners who will be creating and working for the agenda that is anti-India. And right now, though I'm not saying he's anti-India,
Savio, we also can't call Arvind Kejriwal anti-India. I mean, we may differ because you're drawing a parallel there. We may differ with them politically.
I didn't say that.
No, but I mean, the inference was there. You know, when you got Arvind Kejriwal there, the fact of the matter is that Sonam Wangchuk is a person who was under scanner. I'm also trying to understand. Nobody is passing judgment. What I'm trying to understand is that how come a person who has been under scanner for last more than a year, you know, he was detained there, not detained, but like, you know, he was under kind of a house arrest there in Ladakh Bhavan, and you know, a person who has been forefront and you know, leading this agitation. How come that person was not on the radar of the government? Is what I would want to understand.
Yeah,
and if there was, and Ladakh is a unique geographical entity. Ladakh is not like Delhi, where, you know, we may be talking about your pros or anti political party. Ladakh is border state. What I would want to understand is that when a protest of this magnitude, you know, 40-50 day protest last year, the person comes here to talk to MHA is talking to him, so you know that the person is radar. I would want to understand from you, Savio, is why did that slip happen? When did the slip happen?
Also,
that the guy got converted and nobody had any clue about it.
Also, Sonam Wangchuk is somebody who is very tech savvy, very media savvy. He puts out his next move on social media for the world to have have a look at. Sure, he enjoys a bit of traction as well, but the point being that nobody can say that they did not know about Sonam Wangchuk's next move, that it was all kept under wrap. He makes his intention very, very clear that I am going to sit on a hunger strike, we are going to hold a protest, this is where we are going to gather.
So where is
then
the problem?
where?
I'm not able to understand. Are you saying that means you're admitting that if the Indian government did not know about the possibility of a violent protest, that would also mean, or they would know about it, that would also mean Sonam Wangchuk would also know about a violent protest. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, not exactly.
For the government to feign ignorance and say that they did not know that this sort of a protest
I can ask you that question, that Sonam Wangchuk is feigning ignorance.
Can you repeat yourself?
I said I can tell you as well that Sonam Wangchuk himself is feigning ignorance. Why is it so easy to say that the government is feigning ignorance about what has happened when you are not willing to question Sonam Wangchuk on
No,
why
Sonam Wangchuk is there to question. Nobody is defending or nobody is there, trying to pass judgment on what Sonam Wangchuk has done. Absolutely. How can a person who is sitting there abdicate himself from the fact that violence took place and is one of the big violent activity? Ladakh has always been known as a very peaceful state. It's known for tourists, this thing. So nobody is abdicating. It's just an attempt to understand where did it all go wrong. Where did it all go completely awry for a person who was, his tweet is doing the round where he was saluting the government of India.
Because what happened in Ladakh requires careful scrutiny, like I mentioned earlier as well. It is a border union territory and the situation on ground is bound to be dealt with sensitivity.
I agree. And that is precisely what I'm saying. That the people of Ladakh have genuine concerns. The people of Ladakh were protesting for the last several years over those genuine concerns. And the center was working towards trying to resolve those concerns in a timely manner. So when the peaceful protest was going on for the last couple of days and weeks, in the situation where Sonam Wangchuk was there, what led to it turning violent suddenly? If you're questioning the Indian government's inability to know that it would have turned violent, I would like to question Sonam Wangchuk's inability to know that it would turn violent. Because he held the protest. The protest was organized and held by Sonam Wangchuk himself.
Yep.
So when the MHA is saying that Sonam Wangchuk is responsible for instigating it, they would be saying it with some level of credible evidence. That is why they are doing it. If they have arrested him, they could have arrested him many weeks ago, or maybe a year ago, but they haven't. Maybe at this point of time there is evidence enough to arrest him based on what they believe is the illegality that has been done.
Okay, point taken, Mr. Roderick. Brijesh, if I could come to you. There is an order that categorically says that there was a show cause notice issued on 20th August, followed by a letter dated 10th September asking why its FCRA registration or Sonam Wangchuk's organization should not be cancelled. So there has been prior notices, there has been prior show cause notices issued to his organization flagging the FCRA concerns. So Sonam Wangchuk should, for him to now try and cut a sorry figure and cry victim to say that because he led the protest and he is bearing the repercussion of it and that is the reason why he's been penalized and his organization is now under scanner doesn't hold water. It's because this has happened since August that the government is trying to warn him and ask why his certificate should not be cancelled.
Well, I think, there are a lot of questions which Sonam Wangchuk need to answer, Samya. One of the question is that, the source-based information which are coming about, how crores and crores of money have come. The government being unaware of the fact that, the way the 8 account of his was functioning, how 3.5 crores was changed. And these FCRAs, there are 4 figures of FCRA where it was seen in violation of Section 16 of the FCRA Act. All of that, these questions need to be answered by Sonam Wangchuk. Government says that there is more to it than what is being told. They are saying that there could be, given the fact that one of the FCRA figures of 4,23,000 was, the government said that one of the intention there was to study the sovereignty of the state. Now that is a big red herring as far as any democratically elected government would be, and that is the reason why many believe that these are serious questions which Sonam Wangchuk have to answer to make sure that that he comes clean on these kind of accusations which are there. His FCRA license of his NGO has been cancelled by MHA, and it'll be extremely interesting to see. What we've been given to understand is that there might be a meeting tomorrow or day after between MHA and a few of the protesters or a few of the people who are forming the body in talks with the MHA before the 6th October meeting. So it'll be very, very interesting to find out what exactly emerges out of it. But yes, one thing is very clear, that the situation in Ladakh has escalated like never before. There was a protest which was going on for 15 days. 2 protesters were taken ill, and all of a sudden a big violent protest broke out. Buildings were consigned to flames, cars were vandalized and all, and there was a lot of violent activities, and we saw 4 Ladakhis being killed and several injured. And now the big breaking news which is coming on, which was broken by News9 first, is that Sonam Wangchuk has been arrested. And it's going to be an extremely interesting day ahead to find out exactly on what all charges Sonam Wangchuk has been arrested, what are the charges the government is saying, whether the government has made further inroads into about his complicity as far as fanning of this particular violence is concerned, or the government believes that all of this was choreographed right from day one. So it'll be extremely interesting to find out, and we'll be updating our viewers as and when more and more information comes.
Absolutely, Brijesh. Whether it was a case of FCRA violations, or was it because he was facing allegations of inciting a mob and perhaps putting across provocative statement that was anti-India, we are going to get you all those updates. But in the interim, what we can tell you right now is that Sonam Wangchuk, the climate activist, stands arrested, although we're waiting for the authorities to issue an official statement on his arrest. This comes 2 days after the protest in Ladakh turned violent, which claimed the lives of 4 protesters over there, while 80 others were seriously injured. Although Sonam Wangchuk tried to distance himself, but he was the one who gave the clarion call for this particular arrest, for this particular protest. He was preempting his arrest. He said that I'm sure the government is on a war path and I'm going to be implicated for this. It looked like he was almost foreseeing this coming his way. But having said that, we are going to be telling you what exactly are the charges on which Wangchuk has been arrested. It's time for a short break right now. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be back with lots more. Stay tuned and keep watching News9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9. English news as it should be.
Alakazam face disappear. Moonlight.
Smooth, silent, seamless. Sliding systems from headache.
This is my temple, this is my mental peace sanctuary.
The ultimate biking experience is incomplete without Servo 40 Extra from Indian Oil. Servo 40 Extra from Indian Oil. Can't do without it.
स्पेशल पार्टनर लायरा वुमेन्स वेयर लेगिंग्स वो जो लायरा हो। फिलिप्स सोने पे सुहागा। पोलो एलिवेटर्स स्मार्ट भारत की स्मार्ट लिफ्ट।
Football is our culture. Match days turn into festivals. Every goal ignites the crowd. Strangers become family. Football is our culture. The goals are our tradition.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.